Hey guys, it's not Mama, it's Lynn.
And Mama.
We are both here. We are both talking.
Talking.
And Mama has asked and posed the question, what is the most annoying thing about being a medium? And I think it's for me the most annoying part is when I don't get names and everyone wants me to get a name. And I'm sitting there going, I don't hear their name. They have too many names.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time they're coming to us, they've already transitioned for the most part, and names are no longer important to them.
Yeah.
Names are important to the humans. They're important to the living.
Yeah.
Names are less important to the dead and the spirit guides. So I think names are my most annoying part about being a psychic, is trying to get names.
Besides things like spirits that won't take no for an answer, which can be very annoying. That's why we keep Palo Santo around. I think one of my most irritating things is that people don't get it. People will say, well, I went to the graveyard, but I didn't sense any spirits. Well, why would they want to stay in the graveyard? The graveyard is an empty place. There's, unless you're there, chances are your loved one is not there. But there's a lot of people that have beliefs, and I'm not saying anyone is right or wrong on their beliefs. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong about my beliefs. But my beliefs are based on what I have been told by spirit. And they're things like people going, well, how can they be appearing to me and to my sister at the exact same time? How can that be? And it's because you're thinking physically. They're not physical anymore.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's the misconceptions and the way people use their misconceptions to dismiss spirits and messages and things like that. For me, I really think it's those misconceptions and how they're used by people to quote unquote prove that it doesn't exist. That makes sense?
Yeah. I hate when people try and make us prove that we're psychics.
I do too.
It's like you either believe it or you don't.
Yeah, and if
this
you
is
don't,
not a good conversation to have. But it's real life and it's real.
It's real. It is real. I mean, spirits that are pushy or that have we've had a lot of spirits that have a message. They are really wanting to get that message across.
Yeah.
And that can be really annoying. But I do think that probably the worst part of being a psychic is having to explain to people.
They need to explain to things we don't really understand ourselves.
Well, how does it work? I don't know.
I don't know how it works. It's not like we're told how it works. We're just given ideas and thoughts and feelings and emotions and
the spirit. I don't know how it works. I don't know. I've had a lot of people go, well, if they are the victim of something when they were alive, they should be, chasing whoever hurt them and trying to get vengeance. But by the time they go through transition, they've moved past human concerns. They're not human anymore. But how do you explain that to people?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't know how to explain.
Now, see, I am slightly different than you.
Mm-hmm.
I do think they get jealous. I do think they feel emotions.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can feel them through them.
Yeah. And it's not that I don't think they feel emotions, but they don't have the same feelings or the same viewpoint that we have. They see a bigger picture.
Yeah. I can see that.
You know, it's that while they love you and when they were alive they wouldn't have wanted to share you, they know that they are gone and you cannot die with them.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to.
Yeah.
They want you to live and love and be happy. Yeah. And that doesn't mean they don't love you. And I've had people say, well, that must mean that he didn't love me or he would not want to share me, wouldn't want me to move on. But they want you to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that they're not jealous, but they see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
And I think that, they put an emphasis on that bigger picture. So
I will agree on that aspect.
Yeah. It's not that they're not jealous. It's just that, they realize that they can't be there for you. They can't be what they were for you.
Yeah.
And they don't want you to be alone. And some of them, especially if their death was their own fault or their own, not fault, accountability, if they're taking accountability for it, it was something they chose. They don't want you to suffer for their decisions.
Yeah.
And so, but that doesn't mean that they didn't love you. That doesn't mean that they didn't want you or that they weren't protective of you. They still are. It's just different because sorry, my cat is chasing my yarn. They're different. And so they see things completely differently.
Yeah. I can see that.
So
what is the hardest part about being a psychic? Or being a medium that deals
living
with
people's grief.
Living people's grief, yeah.
Living people's grief.
I concur.
Because I'm an empath as well.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's why I think that being an empath is part of being a medium. And I feel, especially when it's something that I have experience with, but even when it's completely not, like losing their spouse,
Mm-hmm.
that grief and that pain is really, really hard. And then even harder is the grief that ends up blaming themselves. If I had just done A, then this would have happened. If I had just done B, if I hadn't done C.
No shoulda, woulda, couldas.
Yeah, the shoulda, woulda, couldas. That
they don't do anything except upset you.
Yeah, they don't do anything. And like you said, they don't do anything at all. But
don't do anything except upset you.
Nope. And
I think one of the hardest parts for me is because I feel the grief from the other side too.
Yeah.
Like because I'm an empath, I'm even more of an empath than you are.
Yeah.
I feel, and I'm a psychic empath. Mm-hmm. So I'm a medium empath.
Yeah.
So I get their feelings and emotions stronger than sometimes their words.
Yeah. I love the way you connect with spirit, and everybody connects differently. No two mediums ever are going to be exactly the same. And you literally are drawn first to their emotions.
Yeah.
And I love it, and I don't envy you. I do not envy you having to do that.
No, because there's sometimes it's just sad.
Mm-hmm.
There's sometimes they are just sad. It's just a sad time.
Yep.
So, what is your favorite part about giving a past life reading?
Oh, I love it when they come back and say, I researched this and found all of these where they resonated. Everything that made perfect sense. Or I looked up a date you gave me or an event and I found it in history. I love it when that happens. But the other thing I love is when, and this is going to sound kind of cheesy, but it's when someone says, oh my God, that's why I count like that. Or that's why I do that. When something is explained and they make that connection, you know, I tell you where you were on a ship and it sank and you drowned. And the person's like, that's why I can't stand deep water.
Yeah.
That's why I can't get my head wet, my hair wet, or my head underwater. That epiphany.
And see, I think my favorite is, oh, I've had this dream.
Yeah.
About that. I've dreamt about this before.
Yep.
I love that. When I can get into somebody else's dream, somebody else's.
Yep. When they're dreaming about this life and you're telling them about it and they're connecting the dream, the life, and the past life reading.
Yeah. I think that's just so much.
It's so cool.
It's so cool. It really is.
And it's like, well, you know, you are, it resonates. It connects. Yeah. It connects them. I love the fact that there are so many things that are holdovers from things that happened in previous incarnations. And there are times when those holdovers, when the person's like, oh my God, that's why I do it. That's what happened. That's why. And then they don't have to, it's like it's a compulsion that they no longer have to do.
Yeah.
And, or when it's like you said, I dreamt about that. I've dreamt this. I've had this dream. And you're describing it and they're like, that's it. That's the dream. That's what I've dreamed.
I also love the knowing something that you can't possibly know. Yeah. And then people look at you like, how do you know that? Well, because I'm psychic.
I love it when people come in and say, I lost this item.
Where do I find this lost item?
And you'll give them something.
And you give them a place to look.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, it was there.
It was right there. How did you know that?
How'd you know that? Well,
hello,
psychic.
If you didn't think I could do it, why'd you ask?
Yeah, I mean, psychic.
And then other people were like, oh my God, I was watching and you said something about a lost item and they went out and checked and it was there. You were right. It's like, I mean, on one hand, it's like, you don't have to sound so surprised.
Yeah, but at the same time, it surprises me too.
Yeah, it does me too.
It's one of those, how did I actually know that?
I know. We doubt ourselves too.
We do. We're not,
to the point that we're like, nope, this is the facts, this is the God's own truth, and you're gonna hear it, and this is the only thing that matters. Shoot, we doubt ourselves.
I'm not infallible.
No. And we're wrong.
And that's what I come up with and that's what I am always saying. I'm not a deity.
No. Even deities can be wrong.
Even deities can be wrong, but I'm not gonna be right 100% of the time.
And if you were wrong, I'm sorry.
And if I was wrong, I gave you the best future I could see.
Yep.
I gave you the future I could see.
I gave you what I saw. Yeah. I passed it on. That is one of the other hardest parts. Missing persons.
Ugh. I don't want to do missing persons just because.
If I connect firmly with a missing person, it usually means it's because they're deceased. Because my gift lies with the dead.
Yeah.
So if I'm connecting super strong, I am usually pretty sure that person is no longer with us. But you don't want to tell a mother that their child is no longer with them.
No.
And you don't want to go out on a limb and say this person is 100% dead because they have surprised me. I've had people, well, he was in a coma, but he survived. Well, he was in a coma, which is why I was connecting with him. I I told you I felt it as past because it was a strong connection because he wasn't tied to his body.
Yeah. But I don't know.
But that missing persons is a really difficult.
Missing persons is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Just because I don't feel comfortable enough with it. I don't even feel comfortable enough with missing animals. Because missing animals can be, they're either scared or they've passed.
I will do it. I will do a missing person situation. If the family asks me if I have an attack, if I feel it and I get information, I will pass it on. But I will always tell them, I can only give you what I get. I cannot guarantee you that it is 100% right. I'm giving you my impressions. If I feel he's around water, that could mean that he's by the ocean or his water bottle spilled.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you with 100% assurity because it just doesn't work that way. That's the other thing that's hard. People expect you to be like you're giving an interview. Just ask them this question and pass on what they say.
There's translation and there's
it just
feeling.
Doesn't work
Sometimes
that easy.
it's just a feeling that you get.
And some psychics will see things that represent something else. Like I know of a psychic that when they see a yellow rose, it's because the spirit is sending "I missed you" or
and usually I just get the feeling of
"I miss you."
I miss you.
Yeah. And I usually, because I see them, hear them, sense them, the whole bit, I usually just see them say what they're going to say. But that is one of those things that...
It's one of those things that it's hard.
It is. And it's really hard to get... It's really hard to try and get through to some people because they want so much to have that connection. And I'm not a...
It's I'm like when we do the letters from a lost loved one.
Yep.
That is all Mama. That is all Mama and all of her automatic writing skills.
Yep. And when I do a letter from someone, that's literally my thing. I am connecting and letting them write. But people will say, well, it's not their handwriting. Well, probably not, because handwriting is as much physical muscle memory as it is personality.
It is.
So it's probably not going to look exactly like their handwriting because it's not. It's my body.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that a lot of times I will do things like write with my left hand or in a left-handed slant. But that's, it's still going to be different.
Yeah.
And if you're expecting me, to see their handwriting, or again, there's translations.
Hold on 1 second.